government, which I guess is crappy and corrupt, said nobody can have Insta or X or YouTube or TikTok. They shut down social media, riots in the street, soldiers and police kill 19 Gen Z protesters. Gen Z goes crazy, burns parliament. The prime minister resigns. According to some reports, the government has fallen and now Gen Z is in charge if they can hold it. So it's that's a big deal. But then a follow up to Sasha, which is, does blowing up Hamas in Doha possibly lead to the end of the war in Gaza?
Okay. You cannot take any issue, just look at the issue only. You have to take a full picture. Why Trump allowed Israel to do anything what it wants, when it wants, and Israel does exactly that. Why? Here is the reason. Trump is losing every war, every issue. All international politics is in shambles because of one man, and America will correct it in the next 55 years. That's what it will take to undo everything what Trump does. So to have, for example, issue like China, gone, done, no more China, no more fight with China. Now he wants to make China his friend. He will work very hard because this military parade in Beijing showed to him here what we are. And it's not just China, it's including Russia and North Korea and Iran and just whoever they want to put into this coalition. United States is alone. Europe is not with the United States, at least on issue with Ukraine, as you know, and you will see next day or two what's happening there. So Trump now, he wants to do the wars. That's why he changed the name of Ministry of Defense to Ministry of War. But he needs winning wars. With Israel, he will have only winning wars because Israel is stronger and better equipped than all these Emirates and all these little governments and countries. Call them whatever, even including their camels. Israel is so much stronger that any war is winnable. So fight winnable wars. Win, win, win. Now, he
if Israel killed these Hamas leaders in the attack, will that lead to an end of the war in Gaza?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Israel has to keep winning. If he who's coming next? Who is it? United Arab Emirates? Who wants to fight Israel? Come on in. You want to fight for Palestine? You want to fight for Muslims? You want to fight for Christians? Whatever you do, come in, fight, and
here's
all. This is what Trump. No, hold on. Let me finish. And another war which Trump is thinking he's winning. Forget China, forget Ukraine, Russia. It's not winnable. It's well beyond Trump's intellect to figure out how to end this war. So, but there is a war that he can win, he believes. It's a war against American people. It's a war against immigrants, transgenders, Democrats, whoever else is there. That's a winnable war because he has National Guard, he has everything, and the other side doesn't. So now he's going to fight only winnable wars, and Israel is a part of it, okay?
So I will agree that with the last part of what you said, hence the reason why his administration talked about going to war in Chicago, and that is very scary, extremely authoritarian. It is horrendous. Everything about it is wrong, but his people will defend them. So what you just said at the end there, I'll agree with the problem. That's because the Middle East is a quagmire, and it really has so many threads that you have to. If you pull one thread, the whole thing is going to come down. And now we have an issue where Israel went into a safe zone. It's as if North Korea went into the DMZ and killed somebody there. So it was supposedly a safe space where negotiations were to take place. And now you have Israel going in there and doing that, which nobody has any sympathy for Hamas, so let's not even go there. But the problem is the attack in an area that was supposed to be protected and safe, that safe zone. So now you've taken that away. You've also taken away the negotiators in the middle of the negotiation that they were actually gaining momentum from and leaning towards. So now you have a situation where the hostages have looked to be left out on an island. So the hostages may never come home now that are there. Now you have no recourse on stopping Hamas in Gaza because they still have their military leaders there, because all Israel did was take out the political leaders and the actual political negotiators. So now my question is, are you isolating Israel to a point where there is no safe space for Israel? And that means there is no trust with the U.S. anymore, because they just threw that out the window. Not only with the bombing of Iran, but also with this situation, because the U.S., again, if the U.S. knew and the U.S. allowed this to happen in a safe zone, that means your prime negotiator, Qatar, in the region will no longer trust you. Now you have other areas around there that will no longer trust you. So now you're isolating both Israel and the U.S., with not to mention what took place just a few weeks ago, or last week or a few weeks ago, with the forming of an alliance with Russia, China, and all those individuals. Now you're leaning people more towards that grouping and isolating the U.S. and Israel even more. So where do we go from here? That's the scary part.
Okay, I'll answer all your questions. First of all, Israel is fully supported by Trump, therefore United States of America, because there is no such thing as United States of America without Trump. Trump is United States of America.
I just pointed that out, Sasha. I said that you're isolating the two countries of Israel and the U.S. and pushing all the other countries. As you just pointed out, Europe is not with the U.S. Europe is looking elsewhere.
Right.
The other countries are looking elsewhere.
Right.
And now if you take those Middle Eastern countries, if they form an alliance bonding with the group that just formed with China, Russia, and all those other countries, so now you're just having multiple countries backing the whole Qatar. The whole region is now going to be against Israel. So now it's going to be the U.S. and Israel fighting everybody. Is that what we're heading towards?
Is that exactly? You're exactly correct. But remember that no country in no region, nowhere can challenge either United States or Israel in the Middle East. These two countries cannot be challenged. So because of this new political order, when all these issues that were settled in 1945, all that is gone, is garbage now. So now the new world order is the power and only power and nothing else. So if nobody can challenge Israel in the Middle East, then Israel has a free hand, with the help of Trump and the United States, to do anything what it wants. It bombs Qatar. Maybe Qatar is on the side of the United States and Israel. Maybe Qatar allowed all that happen because they get sick and tired of this Hamas leaders and politicians and so on. I don't know about that. I'm speculating. But neither Israel nor the United States need Qatar's agreement to do what they've done. Don't need anybody's agreement. The power today is United States and Israel, and that's it. All others have to either peacefully accept it and say, "Yes, you're right. Yes, you have a power. Okay, what do you want us to do? Jump or to fly, maybe, or whatever else." Just obey the power, okay? And this is order of the day today. That's how.
Well, the problem with that, the just obey the power, that's the downfall of every major power. For example, all kings have fallen with just obey our power. The U.S. actually was created based off just obey the power. All these this just obey the power doesn't work. That creates lots of death, lots of wars, and so on and so forth. There has to be some type of diplomacy, and if there's no diplomacy, that leads only to death and destruction.
You are right. You're right in the long run. But by the time that Trump is president, at least until
we should actually hear from Dr. Sharif before we get there. Just realize last year there were 573 murders in Chicago. In this incident, there was only 35 people who died in Qatar, which were Hamas. So with that, Dr. Sharif.
That made no sense.
Okay.
I'll keep it up there until you figure it out, Jacoby. It's called math.
That makes no sense. That's a dumb correlation.
Okay.
It's a great correlation.
I just want to add one point. Like what you are discussing about this Israel, this Hamas, this Qatar tragedy, or what happening in USA, I'm against all of the odd things. I only focus on the human progressions. And honestly speaking, every religion has good things. Christian has good things. Jewish community has good things. Hinduism has good things. Muslim has many good things. On the other hand, our conflict, our different kind of cultural issues, what you are discussing and all of the things. This is not the progressive discussions or the progressive activities what we are observing. That's why in some point what we are observing right now, even though it's happening in Bangladesh, not only USA, it's happening in Bangladesh. All of the populism is growing, fundamentalism and all of the activities is growing, religious activities is growing. Religion is good, but definitely it's personal level. When we go for politics, what we are observing through Hamas, definitely what Hamas is doing or did with Israeli people, I do not support it. On the other hand, for all of the bad activities of Hamas, if Israel do all of the killings of Philistine people, that is not good for our country. But honestly speaking, the long history of Israel and Philistine conflict, it's actually create many bad things, bad example in the Middle East. We should stop killing each other and we should go for proper human resource developments and move for progression. That's why I am doing this talent economy. I think we need more dialogue like this. We need more discussion like this. We need more debate like this. But at the end of the day, we need to build up a better communities, not more conflict. Thank you. That is the final remarks from my side.
I appreciate that and everything. Hey, Nick, I got a quick question for you. Because speaking of conflict, there is another issue that is out there and all along those lines, and it is a major one. Apparently, we're heading to a constitutional showdown over a major issue that's been out there almost as long as the war in Israel and everything, and that is the notion of abortion and the abortion shield law. So apparently, we're heading toward a constitutional showdown over this notion that you can send abortion pills from one state to the other, and even Letitia James is saying that she's going to step in to defend the New York doctor accused of mailing abortion pills to Texas. So I just wanted your thoughts on this as a lawyer, not so much your like personal or philosophical thoughts, but your thoughts on this from a legal standpoint.
Well, I think that's really going to be hard to manage. Yeah, I think from a practical standpoint, the states aren't going to be able to manage that. In other words, moving pills from state to state. I don't see how they're going to be able to manage that, Mark. But we'll see. I mean, the thing is, these become very complex legal issues, and then they also do become politicized because you could argue that going two different ways. So you could argue it's comedy. Other states have to recognize it. You could also argue that, hey, no, the states have the right in their own borders. So it'll probably end up in front of the Supreme Court, and we'll see which way they go.
Yeah,
Some things are like that. In the meantime, on the national front or the international front, 19 people died in Nepal, and the prime minister resigned.
Yeah, we can talk about
that. Big uprisings, but we don't get much. Nepal doesn't get much love. This will get a lot of love. 573 murders in Chicago, and there was only 35 people died in Qatar. So it'll happen. The liberals will say genocide, and now the thing is, the conservatives go, yes, there's genocide. It's called Chicago, and Trump's about to stop that stuff.
No, that was a dumb comment.
The genocide of Chicago.
That is a completely dumb comment. I'm gonna keep talking over it because you're making a dumb correlation and a dumb comment. You're better than this, Nick. You're better than this. Nobody is saying that the 35 dead in Qatar leads to a genocide. Nobody said that. Your dumb tail is saying that. And then you're talking about Chicago. What happened in Chicago? Your dumb tail is making this up. Again, it's the same thing with the ball. You're trying to make something.
You can find it on.
You're just trolling for no reason and making up ignorant trolling things.
Trying to get different quotes.
You have no argument, Nick.
Did not take place in Chicago.
Nick, you have no argument. Nick, you have no argument.
We got 5 minutes and then we got.
You have no argument.
Hold on a second. We only got 5 minutes and then we got to get to Ukraine, Russia. And we have a whole discussion about that and everything. But I did have a question, and this is maybe for Rick and everything, because there was a major vice presidential candidate that says that he's going to be guided by science, unlike some of our other folks and everything. So Waltz in Minnesota has issued a vaccine executive order, and then now he's countering the federal vaccine move with a state level order. So are we going to see more states doing this because of what RFK Jr. is doing? Because it definitely seems like he's going like.
It seems like a political opportunity. I think
it's a great political opportunity. As a matter of fact, the West actually created a compact in Washington, Oregon, and California to override the CDC. So they have a new organization.
Other states are banding together to get their vaccinations.
Yeah, because our RFK has got worms in his brains. He even admitted it, and he admitted also that no one should take his medical advice. So what are you supposed to say? And he's running the Department of Health and Human Services. That's like what they call really bad. So now the states will take over, which is probably a good thing, and get it away from the CDC, and because the CDC is corrupt. It wasn't until RFK came in. But
the CDC did have problems.
It's intellectually corrupt.
It was skittish because they had they were very politically frightened because 50 years ago under President Ford, they tried to do the swine flu vaccine that vaccine made a bunch of people sick, and there turned out to not be a swine flu pandemic. Right. So since then, the CDC has been a little bit gun shy.
No, it all started when it became politicized up under Trump due to COVID.
Hold on, there's a book
before the swine flu. Hold on, Rick, the swine flu issue. I agree, there was a problem there. Even before there were the Tuskegee experiments, all that stuff. Yes, science was an issue, but it didn't become extremely politicized and highly politicized until COVID, because you had a whole campaign that became about that. And that's where the whole real skittish came from.
Well, all right, that's true, but even before Trump, the CDC had problems. If you want to read about it,
I agree.
There's a book called The Premonition, by Michael Lewis, the same guy who wrote The Blind Side about the football player.
And like I said, the science itself, it's always been in question, especially in the minority communities due to the Tuskegee experiments and all the other experiments before that. So again, science has always had an issue. But if you even look at the numbers about the dropping off of, vaccines and all this other stuff, and how the outrage over the COVID vaccine became highly politicized. So yes, the CDC had problems. Two things can be true at the same time. And that's what it is it wasn't as bad as it was until Trump started running the campaign against science and against the CDC. And that's when a lot of the issues came to play.
Yeah, so we suffered.
Those same individuals that enjoyed
science and had their beliefs, they push those beliefs aside just because of Trump. I mean, it's just what's been going on.
Let me get we had a huge national tragedy. More people died from COVID than any other event in U.S. history, about 1.4 million people. And some people reacted to the tragedy by denying it and saying that everything was fine. It was just a cold. Some people retreated into lunacy, and in that they were helped by Trump.
So all roads lead to Trump, even though he's the one that expedited.
Trump did
he expedited the vaccine, and even today he goes on record that he's in favor of the vaccine.
So we all agree what Trump did. Trump's greatest accomplishment was the actual vaccine. Trump did a phenomenal job with that. That was an accomplishment. But the thing is, he ran a campaign against his own accomplishment. He even put in one of the worst people to ever put in to a CDC or the top health position who is a vaccine denier. He's also put people under him who are all vaccine deniers who have attacked his own greatest accomplishment. So yes, I mean, you can put out a fire and then hire people to light that fire back up and then say, well, my greatest accomplishment was put out a fire. Your also greatest tragedy is the fact that you started the fire again.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's what you get when you appoint a former Democrat into a high position like RFK.
Well, RFK
former Democrat, really, you went there.
RFK was making himself available to the highest bidder. First he offered himself to Kamala Harris, and Harris is like, no, get the hell away from me, you fucking nut. And so then he turned to Trump, and Trump welcomed him because Trump has a big tent for crazy people. Trump is, the Democrats have a big tent that is always arguing about stuff. Republicans also have a tent. If you're a psycho, just come on in.
So, yeah. And he won the election. I mean, that's kind of like what happened. So, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I think that's Mark telling us that we have to go on to the next show, which is, I think, the Ukraine show. So we'll see you guys later.